Hello, everyone. And first, I want to start by saying thank you for listening to the Worldview from an Outcast podcast with me, Summer Austin. Um, I'm coming in from upstate New York in the U.S. and today I want to talk about the importance of reconciliations. These can be mentally done. They do not need to be spoken aloud or even addressed with the person at hand the subject is about, but just to yourself, say for the things that you might not have wished you had done in the past, tell yourself or the person, if you're forgiving yourself or if you're apologizing to the person that it happened with, just tell yourself, take a moment. And these things, prayers are actually material things, and they send vibrations out into the universe. And the showing of compassion toward a person or event will actually soften it and soften their guard through from long distance, through the air, from your mind, of your thoughts of being sorry for something that you did, even though you may not have meant to do it. And it can go right straight to the person, to their heart, and relax them. These things are real. So even world leaders, in the past events of history of the world and the universe, um, even one I can, or anyone you can pray and apologize for something that happened that had not even anything to do with you. And just your feeling of compassion going toward that object or event, even if it's in the past, because people are still living memories of the past. Um, People hold genocides, wars, atomic wars, and all that can be absolved. The guilt, the shame, the anger, the frustration, and all the bad stuff that it comes with can be erased for a new beginning. And this would come from my or your or anyone's heart and mind. Thinking and feeling they're sorry that happened will bring the compassion to the light in the peoples who are affected, mind, heart, soul, spirit, and body. And even land and animals can be affected by a feeling of compassion from your heart when you send it out into the universe. And you can pick specific events of the past worldwide or in your life with relationships or events that happen to you. You can forgive yourself and you can apologize to others in your mind without even speaking it aloud, and it can have an effect for softening and absolving the atmospheric pressure of vibrations in and around that certain event, which is now in the present as well and can be floating away into the distance and not an issue that is held within our bodies, all the people affected by whatever event it is. Therefore, we can breathe easier, exhale, inhale, and let that go and make space for new occurrences. This is actually a necessary practice in my life, at least. So thank you for bearing with me on that. It's just a little suggestion for a prayer that worked for me. And people you love, if you feel for them and something that happened between two people that are not even you, people you care about, you can apologize in your own mind for their behavior toward each other, knowing they meant well, but there may have been a misunderstanding, and you can soften their resolve toward each other and make peace in the air, in the land, in their hearts, just by thinking, I'm sorry that happened, and they can feel more less stress and anxiety or anger or fear even, and more relaxation and love toward each other in the air, even if they're long distance from each other, just from your thoughts and feelings and your heart's wanting to show compassion and just the want and need and desire for cooperation and for people to get along and for there to be harmony in the world. If you feel that way, these are some practices you can use. I'm not pressuring anyone or demanding, of course, that you do it, but it's just I'm suggesting that if you feel this way, it's something you can try. So it's worked for me, so I thought I'd share. Simple as that. So I'm not going to do any exercises or like walk through examples, but I think I've explained it to the best and most full effect that I could. I'm just going to say more on the benefits and effects of this, because I myself personally have come a long way, and even things that I may be still irked or confused about that people have, quote unquote, done to me, since I feel I am the victim of a certain event, or an attitude or an action from another person where my space is invaded or something like that. If I even take the selfless position and say, boy, I'm sorry I was in that space when you were trying to get by, instead of saying to myself or anyone, gee, he came right at me when I was standing there. There was nowhere to go. I felt trapped and attacked. So this is an example where I was standing in a hall, outside a hall in the back of a apartment building, and someone was trying to get in the door, and instead of saying excuse me or waiting for me to move, they came right at me and made me feel very invaded. And I mean, that may sound like a petty thing to you, but the energy was high, and it was a kind of a crinkly energy. It was around a mental health place, and it was just crazy vibes, crazy feelings. And I just, when someone, so in what I'm saying, my prophecy here is that if you, or it worked for me, when I take accountability and responsibility for my own part in the event or the action, like I was standing there, I have to admit and accept that I had a part in it just by being there. And if I wasn't there, if I was over 2 steps, he would have been able to go through the door and I wouldn't have felt invaded. And I was a little taken by surprise. And so it takes 2 to tango. And if I say I'm sorry for being there to myself in my mind and to him, it takes the blame off. It takes the pointing fingers. It puts the emphasis back on me and my actions, because when it comes down to it, it's not what anybody else does, it's what you do. It's not what anybody else does, it's what I do. It's not what you do in my life, it's what I do. I'm not concentrating on what you do. I'm concentrating on what I can do in a positive manner to improve and make my life better, which will then, therefore, as a side effect, will make, ripple vibrations of peace and harmony out in the universe by taking care of myself, concentrating on me. And instead of, there's no way you can control another either. And complaining about others' actions doesn't help. So if you always just internalize it, put it back on you, on yourself, like that's what I do. Sometimes it's hard because you get thrown off course. You get, if you're encountered by someone, and you start thinking, why are they doing that? And you blame it on them because that's what you see. That's what is in front of you. But I'm saying just bring it back to yourself and be yourself, and think maybe you have to process it, or maybe you think I'm being ridiculous and this has no sense at all whatsoever and makes no sense to you. But that's all right. But I may be I may be classified as a empath, which is a person who is very sensitive to everything around them. Well, more like so than others. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Worldview from an Outcast podcast. This is yours truly, Summer Austin, and have a nice day and maybe consider what I said. Thank you. Goodbye.